Hello folks, it's me, Kerbanaut here, and today we're going to be starting something new because I haven't done anything in a long time and I need to get back into the swing of things, so we're going to be starting a new Let's Play series and it's going to be called Let's Actually Play KSP because I haven't actually played KSP for a while. I've messed around in it for ages and I've kind of just gone through it a bit by bit, and recently I haven't been able to play it that much at all. So today we're going to be getting started on a Let's Play series, and it's called Let's Actually Play KSP. So let's go for it. We've started a new career save. We're going to launch our first ship. So here we go. We've got our pod. We've got our parachute because safety is definitely not a priority when flying with Kerbals. However, it does look kind of nice on top of that small pod, so that's the only reason. So we do some science, grab some of that lovely, gorgeous stuff. We jump out of the pod for a quick breath of fresh air before hopping in and boosting up those engines. And we're going to have a look at some of these clouds. Obviously, these clouds are not stock, these are mod clouds. It's from I think it's the beautification mod or something. It's the clouds and city lights. So they recently added new volumetric clouds, so that's kind of 3D look. It's pretty awesome if you ask me. I didn't download it before it got the 3D clouds. I've seen it before without them, and I didn't really feel it was worth downloading, but after they added these, it was just like, right, okay, let's get in that. We're going to be flying in through these clouds. So that's one of the mods we're going to be using. We do a bit more science just up there. There we go. So yeah, that's one of the mods we're going to be using. Another mod is FAR, F-A-R, that's Ferrum Aerospace Research, I think it is. It's basically adds realistic aerodynamics to the game. So it's adds a lot of niceties. So it takes a little bit less delta V to get into orbit. However, you need to build your rockets right, or they spin out of control and will kill you. So, thankfully, this rocket was extremely simple, although also happened to explode, even though it was like an empty booster, but who cares? Boosters will explode. Anyway, yes, we get out, do a little bit more science and store it in that pod, and this is just a little thing I'm going to be doing to try and maximize my science output, because career is all about getting science, to get more parts, to get science, and then the end goal is just exploration and doing what you would do in sandbox mode. So, yes, let's figure out what we're doing here. We're just going to wander around and just run into the pod at like high speed for no apparent reason. But before we decide to end the flight, we do this. This is a Kerbal running very fast. It's actually just running. I've put it on 4x speed in game and speed it up in post, and here we go, we're at the launch pad, and this just allows us to get some surface samples and EVA reports from different locations that are within kind of running / walking distance of KSC. So the launch pad is a biome of its own, so we can go to there and get the surface samples and the EVA report from there. We can then run back to the capsule, store the data in the capsule, so just click the button and it is done. Good stuff. And then we can just run over in this general direction. What is over in this direction, you may ask? Well, you see that big long strip? I believe you're familiar with it. It's called a runway. And yes, that is also a biome of its own. The runway is in and of itself a biome. So we can go and get on the runway and we can get some more science. So we can stand, we're in the middle of the runway, get some surface samples, keep that data, and yeah, pretty awesome stuff. And then we can get our EVA report, which is definitely awesome. So, doing that, we can then hop back to the tracking station and recover the pod that we left at the KSC. And that gives us the data from the Kerbal, so that's Jeb, and the pod itself, which is giving us a lot of science. So Now, I can't read this. Let me see if I can read this. I believe we have approximately 43 science now, or something of the likes. So it's pretty awesome. So which one of these three will I get? Survivability, stability, or general rocketry? I'm going to go for survivability because, as I said, safety is of little concern. Also, the things down the line of survivability is also quite good to get. We also get the stability because we are playing with FAR installed, so obviously with stability we want the control, we want to be able to control what we're doing because it is a lot harder to control your vessels with FAR installed. So let's try and build ourselves something a little bit bigger than a pod strapped to an SRB. First up, we need antennas and a stage beneath the cockpit, or capsule. So we have our antennas, we get a little thing in there, and we're going to sit on some of these newly discovered mystery goo containers, which are very mysterious and very gooey, which will help us to do science. It's wonderful how something so mysterious can actually contribute to the scientific community of KSP. How interesting. So yes, here we go. That is some good stuff. We got ourselves a lower stage, and nothing is complete without some SRBs strapped to the bottom of it. So here we go. We need more boosters, and we have got our rocket. We're going to call it Orbiter 1 because I think that this is capable of going to space. So let's give it a try. We're going to try some quick crew reports here from the launch pad, just to get some of that science. There we go, our electric charge is down, but we can launch, and with the power of the boosters, we will fly into the air and also tilt over slightly, which is kind of bad. But nonetheless, we are going to go upwards and fly into the atmosphere, up where the air is clear. Although we're not flying a kite, we are flying a rather highly flammable rocket. And we are flying through the clouds. I really love these clouds. Like, if I could just spend the day flying around in those clouds, I would. They are awesome. One thing I don't like about it, though, is the fact that they go flat almost instantly once they go out of that render range. I would love it if they kind of gradually went flatter. Anyway, this mission failed drastically. We were at a lack of control surfaces. We kind of pitched down because the weight moved too far up the craft, and so it became very hard to keep it pointing in the direction that we wanted to. So I just aborted, tried to save what science we could. Now we do have mystery goo containers on this, so get some science from in the atmosphere. It's pretty cool. You can see I'm just trying to click this button, but it's moving too fast, and we can grab ourselves some science and float gracefully down, speeding towards the planet of Kerbin, through these clouds, of course. I love them, absolutely love them. So let's see, there's the thing down there. We've got our parachute, which is just opened, and we can just warp down to here. I do turn on the engine just because these mystery goo containers have a tendency to just disappear if you hit the water too fast, or at least the bottom stage would. So just use what little fuel I have. I mean, I have that entire stage, so there's no point in just trying to conserve it as we're just landing. So there we go. Grab some more science from the seas of Kerbin, even though we didn't manage to get to orbit. This is the good thing about salvaging craft and salvaging your missions. You still get the science from them. So here we go. Yeah, we've got some general rocketry, we've got some general construction, some flight control. I think I'm going to go for the flight control here, just because it has the ailerons, these things will give us a lot more control in atmosphere, which is what I was lacking in that last launch. I didn't have the control to keep the craft pointing the right direction. So let's try this again, but without the boosters, because I think the boosters didn't really help. I mean, they just really launched us up high, and there's a car. But silly car going on the road. Right, okay, anyway, yeah, we go up. You can see the launch is like really slow to begin with. That's just because, of course, we don't have those boosters, and this one engine is having to lift all these tanks of fuel. It's pretty heavy, but you know, the slower the launch, the more controlled, I think. So we do well, and we just kind of slowly tilt over. However, I think the problem with this launch, it didn't succeed this launch in getting us to orbit. But only because I tilted over here, I think, a bit too fast. You can see that my prograde marker is almost on the horizon and we're only at about 15,000 meters. And that's not good, especially when we're on our last stage here, which isn't going to do much. We're going down. We might as well try to get some science, but because we already have science from the ocean, if we just land now, we're not going to get anything much. So we can try and get some atmosphere, upper atmosphere science. So if we bump it up, we can see if we can get this upper atmosphere science. So we're up at 30,000 meters, and we're getting the upper atmosphere science, which is what we want. This is the science that's going to give us some more parts and stuff. And of course, we return to Kerbin under the power of a parachute. And you'll see what I mean here by things disappearing. You can see those two bottom parts there, the fuel and the engine, just randomly disappear because they're allergic to water, I suppose. You know, fire and water don't mix. They can't explode upon contact. Maybe they just don't like them. I don't know. Maybe it's quantum tunneling. Who knows? So, we don't have enough science to get something else with that mission. We didn't get enough. But we did learn that we need to change our approach to this launch. The craft itself, I think, has the Delta V to get into orbit. But we need to just do the launch differently. We need to change the way we approach it. So, of course, this is sped up. We can go fast, and we're flying up into the atmosphere. But we're not going to pitch down as soon as we did. We can look out the window, but I think it's upside down. We'll be looking at it the wrong way, so it's not as nice. But looking at it this way, that's wonderful. I love these clouds. I'm sorry. I think every single episode of this is just going to have at least one time of me saying, I love these clouds. So, anyway, we're up at 15,000 now, and you can see we've approached the our launch. What's it called? A launch cycle? No, launch. I don't know what it is. I can't remember the name of it. But we're going up into space in a better way than before. So I think we're definitely gonna get into orbit. You can see our apoapsis is getting up to about like 63, 64. So we're getting up and we're pointing along the horizon. So we're not wasting any fuel here. Up to 70 kilometers, so we're going to get into space anyway, so we're definitely going to get space science. Now it's just a matter of seeing if we can get into orbit to get some EVA science in space above certain biomes, because that's where all the real science is going to be coming from when you're in space. That's where all the good stuff's coming from. There we go, we are in orbit, and with fuel to spare. So, what now, you may ask? Well, we're going to get science, because that was the entire point of this mission. We're just here to get the science. But this marks a milestone in Kerbal history. We have finally managed to put a Kerbal into space, much like Yuri Gagarin, if that is how I say his name correctly. I keep forgetting how you say his last name. I know his first name is Yuri. Much like Yuri, Jebediah is the first man in space, except he's not a man. He's a very small plant? I don't know. I could really open up a whole can of worms by saying that. But here we go. We do our EVA science and start returning to Kerbin, burning up in the atmosphere. Thankfully, I haven't got deadly re-entry installed. I'm thinking maybe I should. Tell me what you think in the comments. Should I install deadly re-entry? Do you think that would take away from my experience? Or add to it. I've played with it before, and I'm always worried about, burning up in the atmosphere, but I don't know if that worry adds to the gameplay or not. Tell me what you think. If you want to see me burn up in the atmosphere, leave a comment below. So here we go. We're coming down for this landing. We're going to make this landing soft, and we did it. Also, we're falling over. But that's fine. So we just grab that little bit more science with the mystery goo container, and we can return to the science placey thing, the Research and Development Center. So let's take a look. What should we get? We've got all these things. We've got electricity. We've got science. I think the best thing to do right now would probably be to get some science. Or, see, yeah, we go for the electricity here, and that is probably a good idea, but you can see I'm just kind of looking back at the science and thinking, wait a sec, was that a good idea, really? But in the long run, yes, because we're going to need this electricity to go to the moon, go to Minimus, and many other places. But until then, that's me. Go watch some of my other videos if you want to. You don't have to. But until then, have a great day. I'll see you next episode. Bye bye.